I would like to recognize my co-facilitator, Joan Lewis, who's on with us today, as well as Little Falls Village has also joined us. And let me just state that when our Aging Solo group started talking about daily money management, financial planners, and wanted to hear someone speak, I knew that I wanted to reach out to a wonderful professional who had helped several of my clients with their bill paying and the like over at least a 7-year span. And her company is Everyday Money Management. And let me just say that's still true today. I have a client or someone I know who's working with them. That founder of Everyday Money Management is Leah Nickerman, and I so appreciate her referring me to someone in her firm, Sharon Zisman, to talk with us today. And so Sharon is, well, I should say, has been a daily money manager for the past 8 years. She is the Director of Client Relations and Business Development for Everyday Money Management. And that is a firm of 17 certified professionals, which serve their over 230 clients through their Maryland, Northern Virginia, and Massachusetts offices. Sharon serves seniors and busy professionals, and she ensures that their clients receive the highest quality of services available. Now, as for Sharon's background, she is an attorney who worked as counsel at the Federal Deposit Insurance Corporation and served on boards of numerous community organizations. Having earned her daily money management certificate in 2017, she is currently a board member of the American Association of Daily Money Managers and chair of its education committee. She also serves as the coordinator for the Maryland, D.C. American Association of Daily Money Managers regional group. She lives in Bethesda with her husband and enjoys spending time with her growing family. And with this, I will turn things over to Sharon.
Thank you, Margaret. I appreciate that introduction. I am happy to be here and happy to talk to you about being a daily money manager and about my work with Everyday Money Management. As Margaret mentioned, I am an attorney as my initial profession, and about 8 years ago, I became a daily money manager with Everyday Money Management. Originally from New York, and I came down here to go to law school and liked the area and stayed. So what I plan to talk to you today about is what is a daily money manager? I hope to answer the questions about who we are, what we do, where we do our work, when it might be appropriate to get a daily money manager, and why it's helpful to have one, and how to pick a good one. So daily money managers differ from bookkeepers, and we get that question a lot. Bookkeepers typically pay bills and create financial reports. Daily money managers do so much more. As Margaret mentioned, this is an older picture of our firm. We actually take a picture every Thanksgiving, and send out a card Thanksgiving. So this is a little bit older. We're going to take another picture this week, actually. Our firm, as Margaret mentioned, has 17 daily money managers, and we do typical daily money management work. And I'm going to describe all of the kinds of activities that we do. But we do what you would think someone might do in their daily financial world. We pay bills, we help keep records, we help at tax time, we help submit medical claims. And our daily money managers, and why I became one, is because we like to organize people's lives. We like to work with people, we like to manage their finances, we're detail-oriented. And what we do is we find so important and such a needed service to many in our community. So who we serve, about 80% of our clients are seniors. They can no longer manage their finances. They may have trouble paying their bills. They may have some confusion. Their mail may be overrun. And so they look to a daily money manager to help them with all those tasks. About 20% of our clients are busy professionals. They have busy families, work life. They may have multiple houses, multiple cars, helping their children, and they just would rather prefer not to handle their daily finances and like the idea of having someone there to be there to help them with those tasks. And we work with professionals. So as Margaret mentioned, she has worked with us. We typically work with CPAs who help when we help with tax time. And we work with estate attorneys to help make sure our clients' estate documents are in order. We work with financial advisors who are managing our clients' investments and making sure that those we don't opine on whether the investments are good or not, but we are looking at the investment statements. If a client needs some transfer of funds to make sure their bank balances are sufficient, we might be talking to the financial advisor about that. And we work with care managers. So we help on the financial side, what care managers do on the medical side. So what are some of the things that we do? So I mentioned mail management. We help our clients in their homes. We do help some of our clients remotely, but most of the time we're going to their home, whether they're in a single family home or in assisted living or a nursing home, and we manage their mail. So when we get a new client, we give them a welcome box. And in that box, in addition to having some nice swag from Everyday Money Management, we ask them to make sure that their mail goes in that box if they don't have another repository for their mail. We sometimes go into a new client's home and mail is all over the place. It could be in a desk drawer, behind a cushion on a couch, in a closet. We want to make sure that all mail that we need to see gets in a place that we can look at every visit. And our visits, how often we visit really depends on what the clients and what the daily money manager decide is needed. At the beginning of a visit, at the beginning of an engagement, we might have more visits just to get their systems in place and get to understand what their finances are all about. And over time, we may then spread out the visits so they're not quite as frequent, but it really is up to the daily money manager and the client as to how often they meet. Some clients, because they have a lot of anxiety about their finances, are interested in having us come once a week, some twice a month, some once a month. It really depends. So in addition to managing mail, we are helping them go through their bills. And that's a big part of what we do. So in the beginning of an engagement, we are looking at how they pay their bills. If a client pays their bills through by writing out checks, and that's their comfort, then we will sit and write out checks. The client will sign them, and then we make sure they get in the envelope with the right address showing through the window, make sure it's closed and sealed properly, and gets to a post office. We don't mail any mail in the blue mailboxes at the corner. Unfortunately, they're not that safe anymore. We also help at tax time. So a lot of our clients would keep their receipts in shoe boxes and be nervous about making sure they have all the tax documents that they should have. And at tax time, we're looking over their organizer that their CPA has sent, making sure all the questions are answered. If they're filing by e-filing, making sure those forms are signed and sent back to the CPA. If the client itemizes rather than taking a standard deduction, then we're helping create that itemized tax-related list. And we can do that either by manually going through our clients' bank statements and credit card statements, or we do it because we're doing Quicken for them. We're tracking their income and expenses in a program called Quicken, where we download their bank statements and credit card statements, and they're put into different categories, and then we can just create a report that is just the categories of tax-related expenses and provide that report that way to the accountant. And then when it's time to pay estimated taxes or property taxes, we're there also to help make sure that those get done and done correctly. And we send those out. Either we're paying online, or we are paying by check. And in which case we're sending it certified so we can track the payments. We can also help our clients with insurance claims. Some of our clients will have all of their bills paid or submitted to Medicare or to a supplement carrier by the doctor, but some don't, in which case we're looking at bills and we're making sure that insurance was applied. And if it needs to be submitted, then we're submitting those insurance claims for them. We help a lot with paperwork. So when we've had some clients who just are overrun with a lot of paper. We've gone into clients' homes where their dining room table may be full with unopened mail, and they're just overwhelmed with what to do with all their paper. So in a case like that, we would go in and we do something called a FAST, F-A-S-T, Act. And what that is we determine which of those papers need to get filed, which papers need to have some action done to it, which we can shred, and which we can toss. And we do that with the papers that we see, and then we manage the files as we continue with the engagement. And how we manage the files really depends on what is the comfort level of the client. If they have no filing system, we can buy a file box for them and then create one that would make sense to them. So if a client would have a file for their car and have it under the letter C, that's fine. If they think it should go under A for auto, that's okay. If they think it should go under T for Toyota, that's fine. Whatever the client likes or feel comfortable with. If they like a filing system that is just totally alphabetical, we can do that. If they like filing systems that are color-coded, so all of their, and where they're grouped together by category. So if all of their financial documents, they like to have in green file folders, and all of their medical in red file folders, and all of their household files in yellow, that's fine. We'll do that too and group it that way. Whatever makes the client most comfortable and able to access the files, we create that for them. When we go through the mail, not only are we looking to pay bills, but we look to help with on various kinds of services that they might need. I had recently a client who needed to renew her passport. I helped with that passport application. I had one client who, lots of our clients get lots of solicitations. And one of the things that we do is we track the donations that our clients make. And one of my clients really wants to know who she gave to before, so she just doesn't give it to them again. She likes to give to them. Maybe some she might give more than once, but it's easy for us to go through the solicitations and toss the ones that she's already given to, because we have that documented as to who she gave to and how much. One of the things that we do is we create a whole life list for our clients. And that is a document that has all of your most important information in one place. So it has all of your most important contacts. Who is your most important contacts in your family? Who are those professionals that you work with? Your CPA, your financial advisor, your care manager, your estate attorney. All of the list of your assets. So what you have in your bank accounts and your investments. All of your liabilities. If you have a mortgage, credit card balances. We list all of your income. Do you have income from pensions, Social Security, annuities, and what your expenses are? And that's your bill list. And we keep track of that information to make sure that bills are paid and not double paid and not missed. And the other kinds of information we put in the whole life list include things like if you have a safe deposit box, and if so, who has the key? And where are your most important documents? Are they in that safe deposit box, or are they in a drawer in your home? We keep track of passwords. So in this document, this whole life list, we're making sure that you have access to all of your most important information, and someone in your family has that information also. We do require working with knowing who your power of attorney is. And if you don't have one, then we can help you, work to try to get someone to fill that role. But it's very important because for so many of our seniors, there may come a time when they're no longer able to manage their finances and give us direction. And we need to know who it is that we can turn to guide us in that kind of decision making. Some of the other kinds of tasks that we do, we help with financial reporting. If you have an employee who helps you clean your home, or who is a caregiver that's not with an agency, and we need to do some financial reporting, we will do that for you. We help with banking. If you would like us to go to the bank and make a deposit or withdraw money, if you give us a debit card, we will do that. The other areas that we help out a lot with is in the case of a death of a client, and if there is a surviving spouse, or if not, we would help the executor of the estate. And in those situations, we're helping send out death notifications and canceling credit cards, and helping with any arrangements. If you would like us to, we're happy to do that. In other situations, we might help with a client who may be in a situation where they may have to move. In that case, we are helping them with getting a move manager, and we might help them find someone who can help with an estate sale to sell some of their items that they no longer want to keep or can take with them. We help them with changing of addresses and that kind of thing. I had one client who was running out of money in their investments and wanted to stay in his home. And we figured out that the best way for him to do that was to get a reverse mortgage. And so we were able to facilitate finding someone who could help him get a reverse mortgage, and he's able to stay in his home. And we help withdraw funds from that account on a monthly basis. We also can help with budgets. So if someone needs just a bit of help managing their money, we would look at what their income is and what their expenses are and come up with a budget. In one of the other great services that we provide to our clients is to help if they've been a victim of fraud or a scam. Hopefully none of you ever have, and you won't be. But unfortunately, there are some who are just really some bad actors out there who are really good at convincing someone that they maybe who they are, who they're really not, like a banker or someone from the IRS or someone who needs to fix your computer, and they'll ask you for your information, your personal information, a social security number or a bank account number. Unfortunately, we have had clients who've given that information out, and then they are panicked and call us, and we're closing down credit cards and we're closing bank accounts. I had 2 clients who had their bank accounts hacked and money got taken out from their bank accounts. And at that point, we closed down the bank accounts and we opened up new ones. We worked with the bank to confirm that this was not something that our client did. And then we make sure that any of the auto payments that had been set up in the old account gets set up in the new account. And we constantly monitor our clients' accounts to make sure that there isn't any fraud going on. So if we see in a credit card statement, for example, a duplicate charge, we will ask the client, did you charge something at that same place on the same day twice? Or if there is a charge that they don't know and they don't recognize, we will make that phone call. And oftentimes it's just a charge that the client didn't remember. And once we made that phone call, they were like, oh yes, I did make that charge. But if it's something that they didn't do, and unfortunately, sometimes credit card numbers are taken and used, inappropriately, then we're calling and letting the credit card company know that there was some fraud on the card, and we're closing that card and ordering a new one. We are very security conscious. So we make sure that our clients, if they're sharing passwords with us, that they're saved in a LastPass vault. We, our clients, our daily money managers are all bonded and insured. We use a filing system that is secure called ShareFile. And we take extra precautions in having our daily money managers computers with virus protections, and because our daily money managers do work in the client's home, and some of the work is done in their own home, that their Wi-Fi systems are safe. So we do a lot of we take a lot of steps to secure our clients' information. Any questions so far?
I should certainly say that if folks have questions as we go along, they should put them in the chat. So none so far.
Okay. So when should you call EMM or any daily money manager? So one of the signs that you might need a daily money manager is if you're overwhelmed by paperwork. As I had mentioned, one of the ways that we can help is if you have piles of paper and you're just overwhelmed by them. Another time is to call is if you are unable to keep up with your bills. We certainly want to make sure all your bills get paid on time and get paid once. So if that's something you're struggling with, then we're happy to help with your bill pay. Sometimes it's very frustrating at tax time. As I mentioned, we can help gather your tax documents, making sure you have all the relevant form documents that you should have, getting them organized and sent to the CPA, and then helping track down any documents that might be missing. And as I mentioned, we also could help create that tax-related expense report if you itemize. A daily money manager can also help if you're worried about overspending. As I mentioned, we can track income and expenses in Quicken and create these categories that will show you how much you're spending on shopping or entertainment or dining out. And that could be very helpful for someone who is worried that they're overspending and they're not really sure where all their money is going to. We can also help if you're fearful of being scammed. And unfortunately, there are a lot of scams out there that affect anyone, not just seniors. One, just to mention some of the scams that we have come across. One is involving someone who on the internet might find information about a family member, maybe it's a grandchild, for example, and that bad actor would call and say that, for example, grandchild was in a situation where they needed some financial help. Maybe they've been arrested or they have something happen to them, and they know enough about that grandchild from the internet that they can convince the senior that they should give out some information and send some information to them, some banking information. And unfortunately, that is one of those typical scams out there that some clients have been subjected to. And unfortunately, there isn't a lot to do except for us to be reminding our clients not to give out any information, personal or financial information. And we sometimes would help by putting reminders near their telephone or near their computer. And if there is some way that we can help them, if they've been a victim of scams, we would help them with that. The other situation where we often are asked to come in and help with is if there's a stressful situation with family members. So oftentimes there might be some siblings who are have differences of opinions or maybe not be trusting of each other and are concerned about the finances of the parents. And the family just thinks, you know what, it might be better for us, for the whole family, if there's an objective third party who can come in and manage the finances and create that transparency. So when we visit with a client, and this is true of our seniors, after every visit, we are writing up typically an email to, and oftentimes to a family member. It could be a trusted friend or a financial advisor, or a CPA or someone else that the client designates is a person who they trust and who we can communicate with. And in that situation, and we're giving them a follow-up email after a visit to let them know what happened at that visit and what else might be to that tasks that need to happen in the future.
Sharon, there's a question here. I know you had talked about as a welcoming gift, you give new clients a box for which to put things in. And this question is how do you deal with someone who gets mail via email? How do you access an inbox as opposed to a physical box?
So we look at your client's email if the client would like us to do that. I have one client who, as routinely, when I go and visit her, one of the first things I do is I look at her email. And she gets a lot of solicitations through the email. And she and some of the emails she gets are important information. It might say that she's, you know, a bank statement is available, or that she you know, that a utility has been paid, for example. But most of the emails, if they're solicitations, I'm going through the emails and I'm deleting them. So one way to do it is when we're in the client's home is we are looking at their emails and helping them manage their emails. Does that answer the question?
I think that did.
Okay. We also can set up an everyday money management email. And that would be if a client doesn't use email, but we think it's helpful to have an email for us to help do our work, then we can set up an EMM email for work purposes. So what might be some red flags that your loved ones might see that might think either for yourself or for a loved one that they might need some help? So some of our clients, if they start repeating themselves in conversations, and part of that is, you know, can be some early onset dementia. They're not remembering that they have said something and they say it multiple times. They might not remember to take medications. They might be getting lost on the way to a place that they have visited often and should know how to get there. They might be having difficulty keeping up with their tasks in their household, such as you know, routine tasks of keeping things clean. Or they might insist that things in their house stay exactly the same. These are all different signs that there might be some cognitive issues going on that may suggest that someone who can help with the finances, like us, be called in. So what should you look for when hiring a daily money manager? So one of the things that you should be looking for if you think you need a daily money manager is to ask whether or not they're a sole practitioner or members of a firm. There are many daily money managers who are great DMMs, and they have their own practice, and it's totally fine to hire someone who is a sole practitioner. But we think there are advantages to hiring a daily money manager that is part of a firm like ours. So we have 17 daily money managers, and even though you have one daily money manager assigned to you as the client, if that daily money manager goes on vacation or gets sick and some issue comes up that needs to be dealt with, then we have our whole firm worth of people who can step in and help. We also allows us to have a great array of experiences among our DMMs, where they can then share their experience with with each other. So if, for example, one of our DMMs handled a Medicaid case and another DMM is looking at that situation, is facing that situation with a potential client, but had never done that before, then there's a wealth of information by just talking to, a colleague in our firm who can help, provide some assistance that way. Another question to ask is whether or not the DMM is certified by ADAM. So ADAM is the American Association of Daily Money Managers. Margaret had mentioned that. That is our national organization, and it offers a certification to be a CDMM. That certification requires you to have 150 hours of one-on-one work with a client and to pass an exam. And to stay certified, you have to have continuing education credits over 3 years, 20 credits, 2 in ethics, 10 in finance, including bookkeeping and payroll and taxes, and 8 in standards of practice, which are things like knowing about POAs and guardianships and estates. So knowing that someone is certified just gives you a little bit extra security, knowing that that person has those hours and has passed an exam and has continued to keep up through continuing education. It's also good to ask if they've if the firm or the solo practitioner follows any security protocols. So as I mentioned, we do. All of our employees are insured and bonded, and we have a general liability policy. We make sure our computers are safe. We conduct background checks on all of our employees when they're hired, and we continue to do background checks on a monthly basis on our employees. And if you are a member of ADAM, then you are also required to have a background check done to become a member. And also, as a member of ADAM, you're committing to follow a code of ethics. And for us, we attach that code of ethics to our engagement letter, saying that that is something that we are going to abide by. And as I mentioned, all of our employees are bonded and insured, and we do background checks. And we also do continuing training for our employees. We create policies and procedures that we expect them to follow. And we are continuing through our twice a month staff meetings, talking about best practices and how best they can serve our clients. And then we also do additional tech training to make sure our DMMs are up to speed on the latest ways to help our clients. So that is basically an overview. I know I ran through the information fairly quickly. If there's any additional information that you like or questions you have, I'd be happy to answer them.
There are some additional questions, so I think we're going to continue recording because these questions may be helpful to others. And so this question in the chat is, would you need to work with a power of attorney every time you need to act on something financial?
No. So if the client is capable, and many of our clients are, we just need to know who the POA is, but we don't need to interact with them. If the client is able to give us direction and seems to be perfectly capable, then we're just working with the client. When we work with the POA is when the client has had is in such an advanced stage of dementia or some other ailment that they no longer can give proper direction.
Thank you. There's a number of questions about well, first off, let me just say, are there any social workers in your group?
So some have social work backgrounds, but most have, and a large component of what we do feels like it's social work. But most have some financial background and have some experience dealing with people, because we are a very people-oriented profession. So they may not have a social work degree, but they're, and we often have social workers, talk to our group, and our DMMs may listen to, social workers, talk about what is the best way to interact with our clients, and knowing and learning about what kind of challenges, the elderly are facing.
That's helpful. The next question is kind of also, are daily money managers in your firms fiduciaries?
So no one in our firm is fiduciaries. Some daily money managers are fiduciaries. They could take power of attorneys, and they can be guardians, but no one in our firm is.
Okay. Now, the other question is like, are your daily money manager employees or contract workers?
We're all except one are employees. We have one who's an independent contractor who is our problem solver, our go-to guy to help very specific problem solving.
Do you ever do a 1 or 2 time kind of meeting focused on something particular, such as helping to organize?
So we typically prefer not to do that. We are looking for an ideal client is someone who needs to have most of the services I've mentioned, not necessarily to have them all, but we are typically not looking to help someone, 1 or 2 times. We have some clients who don't right now need us, but who would like to know that we're in the wings. They just feel, I have one client who's he's managing all of the family finances, but he's concerned that one day that he won't be able to. And his wife has no interest in, she's just did other things in maintaining the household and the family, and was not someone who was financially inclined. And he is concerned about what will happen when something happens to him. So he has retained us, and we've gone over his financial situation. And then we're just put on pause, and we'll do a check-in every 6 months or so, just to understand if his circumstances have changed at all. But we're actually not doing any work for him right now.
I haven't.
That's different than, I know what you're asking is if we,
yes,
if someone just feels like they just need someone to help maybe with organizing papers. An organizer may be better suited for that job.
I was going to say, if you would be giving a referral, I know there's organizers, I know concierge services who also will do some kind of short order things like that.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So there are also lots of questions about your charges, whether you have different rates for different things.
Mm-hmm.
Let me go to some of these first ones. How is the charge calculated? Is it on an hourly basis, or based on the amount of work involved, or the money you're managing involved? So there's just lots of questions about your charges and financial arrangements.
So we charge by the hour. We charge $140 an hour. There's no amount of time, number of visits that you need us, or the length of months that you need to enter into a contract. It really depends on the situation. Usually at the beginning of an engagement, there's some extra work that's involved, because we're learning about your filing system. We're seeing how you manage your bills and your mail. We're creating that whole life list that I had mentioned. And during that discovery phase, there is some extra time, and the bills tend to be a bit higher. But once we've consolidated your accounts and automated some payments and created a filing system and have your tax documents, organized and understood, then we move into a maintenance phase where we're just, we're paying bills. We might be visiting less frequently. We're helping out at tax time. We're updating that whole life list as necessary. We're on the phone with you to problem solve any particular issues that come up. But it's, we're reviewing accounts. If we're tracking income and expenses, we're doing that and giving you monthly reports. But it's not quite the flurry of activity that might happen at the beginning of engagement, when we're just getting to learn the client and the client situation.
So when you get into maintenance, are you coming in like every 2 weeks or once a month?
It really depends on the client and some of their anxiety levels. I have several clients who I see twice a month. Because they just have that sort of, even in maintenance mode, that amount of mails and bill to pay and concerns and questions that might come up.
Okay. This covers all the questions that are in chat, so I think we can stop recording. But I would certainly